Good evening. Chris Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 here to do our first basketball live stream of the year. Blake is smirking about something. This is going to be good, I'm sure.
Justin.
It's Justin.
Already called me a coward in the chat. Like we didn't even start. We haven't started yet.
We haven't even started, and then Justin is in the chat calling you a coward.
Well, he's given us $2 via the super chat, by the way. So I'm okay with that. You can call me whatever you want if you want to pay me for it. So you can call me all sorts of names tonight, Justin. Just keep bringing the super chats, and everybody else can too. So there you go. So next on the
Justin's
list is, I mean, hey, it's fine. So
well, let me tell people what we're here for. We're going to do a live stream. We're going to take your questions on SEC basketball and baseball tonight. We're hitting the home stretch of conference play in basketball, and baseball starts tomorrow, my favorite sport. Some teams getting off to interesting weekends, and a lot of teams not. We can talk about that, but mostly we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. So drop your comments and your questions in the chat. Brett Fulmer is right. We're going to have a new number one. Purdue lost tonight to Maryland. Does anybody want to be number one, Blake?
Well, if you want to go back and watch my argument on the number one discussion of the former number one team, I suppose, in Alabama. I mean, look, everybody's been talking about how there's not, there's a clear 4 or a clear 8 or whatever. I don't know, man. Like, I think there's a lot of teams that can win this thing, in my opinion. So I don't know if I'd go that far, but I mean, look, to this, I think there's been a clear 3 for a little while, and that's Houston. I watched the end of this game, by the way. That's Houston, Alabama, and Purdue. You can put them in whatever order you want to put them in, but I think those 3 are kind of separating themselves a little bit. And I know they've lost games, but that's what we got to remember. I feel like for some reason in basketball, we do this a lot. Teams are going to lose games, right? Like it's not football where you're going to just, Georgia's going to run the table in whatever, 13, 14 games. Like teams are going to lose throughout the season. So I don't think we just completely, we got to keep that in mind. This isn't Kentucky 2015 or whatever, right? Whatever year it was. So, or Gonzaga most recently, I suppose. So, yeah, it happens. But the top teams are still the top teams for a reason. So,
the last undefeated national champion, was that 76 Indiana?
I couldn't tell you.
It's been
a minute. Yeah. Been a while.
It has been
Kentucky.
a while.
But
Kentucky was so close.
Yeah, it didn't happen. So appreciate the chats. Come on in. We see some people hopping in here. We are here to chat basketball, baseball. Look, if you want to drop a football note, we know there's a lot of people subscribed that are here for the football. We understand. But we haven't done any SEC basketball live streams this year, so we thought we'd do kind of one here. I mean, you know what? Actually, we did do a live stream this year. That was, of course, after South Carolina beat Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
So this is not officially our first one of the season, but we are here to take your comments, questions, anything else. And as long as you guys have those, we will keep this thing going. If you don't, we'll hop off in about 5 minutes and go play with Oreo and Barry. But I'm just kidding. We won't do that just yet. So Michael's not happy with the must bus right now.
What is going on
touched
with
on
that?
this, right?
We did. We talked about it a lot this morning. The Nick Smith thing is weird. I mean, the post-game comments about it, the 4 minutes at time, something seems amiss there.
I don't know. I mean, the guy just came back, so I think maybe we should give it a couple games. But
maybe that's.
I mean, look, Michael's saying he's playing the wrong guys in crucial times. I mean, look, it's not like they play a lot of guys either, right? So I mean, I guess you're, what he's picking from in terms of the Smith thing was interesting, I guess you could say. I don't have any idea on what the reason was or anything like that, but it was interesting. I think the route that they had against A&M and him playing 4 minutes. So I don't know what you read into it, but I know everyone is reading into it. I don't know what you read into it just yet. So
minutes played leaders in the SEC as of tonight. This is per Sports Reference. Anthony Black, 924, number 1. Ricky Council, 920, number 2. And Devontae Davis, number 3 at 843.
Chris stealing my tweets is what he's doing. So,
Oh, sorry.
no, I put that out last week, and I thought it's just one of those things you look at and visually. It's like, wow, oh yeah, but it makes sense. Like you understand it. That's exactly what I mean. That's what they've had to do without Nick Smith. So, yeah, it makes sense.
Michael's right. That's about the comment. That was an odd choice of words.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that, but Justin with another $2 super chat. So I'll let Chris answer that one. I mean,
I don't know, Justin. I mean, look, he's talking about Jerry Stackhouse benching Tyron Lawrence when Vanderbilt took a 57-point beating at Alabama. Look, they've been 4-0 since. So whatever message he wanted to get across, he got across.
Yeah, that's fair. Scott wants to know, does Auburn have anybody who can stop Robbins? The answer is yes. John Broom's pretty good.
A committee of 3 or 4.
Yeah, well, I mean, Broom's right there in terms of one of the better players in the league. Like I still believe that. So I think that'll be a fun matchup. But again, they've got Cardwell, guys like that too that have size and will come in and do some things. So again, the Broom Robbins matchup will be fun if that's how it turns out. So yeah, keep an eye on Broom.
Hey, I'm gonna throw a comment up here because it might have some relevance. There we go. So I'm on the couch the other night watching whatever SEC game I'm watching, and I hear Oreo run off, and I hear something crunching in the other room, and that's never good. He was eating a Casey Mize rookie card. Now, here's where this is relevant. Casey Mize played at Auburn. Did Oreo just curse the Tigers, Blake?
I don't know. We'll find out, but Auburn needs that one. They need to keep staying in the right direction here after that Missouri shellacking the other night. So it's possible, but remember Chris's comment if they do.
I'm just wondering if the basketball gods were telling me something.
Maybe.
Like I don't even know how he got it.
Yeah, he might have. I don't know.
Unless he climbed up on a table.
Shout out to Gary, longtime South Carolina supporter of our channel here, and it's about stats and player stats and SEC only games. I assume
there's some on the official site. I'm trying to see if College Basketball Reference has conference only. Ken Palm has it for teams. Yeah, I'm looking on Sports Reference. I don't see a separator for conference only. I mean, I'm sure it's somewhere, but
the SEC does it in their official stats they send out, but I have no idea where that link's at.
Well, you can sometimes also go to the individual team pages and find them there. They will sometimes have a separate page for conference only. So there's that also.
Yeah. All right. Logan here. There's an interesting question. A surprise SEC tournament winner. So I think this is an interesting one. By the way, guys, you're sending in questions. We're marking these on our side, so that way we don't miss your questions. So keep them coming. We'll catch up as we go along. Surprise tournament winner, state, Vandy. Let's say surprise would have to be 5 or below. All right, let's use that criteria right now. Top 5 teams in the SEC at the moment are Alabama, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky. So it has to be 5 or lower than 5. We can't use Kentucky or Auburn.
And I'm going to eliminate 4 more. I'm going to say that the teams that get in Wednesday night aren't going to be able to do it. So that's going to be right now. Well, we know. I'm not going to say we know, but we suspect that that's going to be. South Carolina, LSU, and Ole Miss. Yeah. So that leaves us with what?
So let's take Georgia out. So to me, I don't think Florida's going to win.
Probably not. Florida, presuming Castleton.
Missouri, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Mississippi State are your 4 teams, right there. So take your pick from those 4. Justin, I'm marking that super
Missouri.
chat, by the way.
Missouri.
Yeah, I'd probably go Missouri too, because they shoot it well enough to get hot.
Depth. Yeah.
So I'll pick Missouri for my choice there. Unless Nick Smith is playing 30 minutes, then I'll take Arkansas. So, but that I can't really give you right now, because I think Arkansas is better, well-rounded with Nick Smith, maybe. But I mean, Arkansas's tournament, I mean, it's what they do, right? So it's tight between Missouri and Arkansas for me. So, all right, let me get to the next questions here. How many teams SEC in the dance? We'll talk about this on bracketology tomorrow, but I think the number is still going to either be 6 or 7, which that's my bold prediction in the midseason awards, wasn't it, Chris? I completely changed my tune. So
shocked me, but I think you're going to be right.
Half of them may be bubble teams, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. We've seen bubble teams get hot before. So I think it's 6 or 7. And I think that's pretty set now, unless a couple teams just completely, lose out or something.
You could have some dangerous bubble teams in this league, man. Think about it. I mean, Kentucky, A&M, Auburn, Arkansas, you could all see those teams. They're not really on the bubble right now. I mean, Kentucky might be, but on the good side.
Yeah. It's we'll talk about this, and we're gonna have bracketology episode comes up tomorrow, so we'll get to that and talk more about that. Let's go to Rob here. Floor and ceiling for Missouri. So we kind of we did kind of tie that into the SEC tournament thing, but what do I always say, Chris? It's like Missouri is the most extreme team probably in the SEC in that they have such a high ceiling offensively. Defensively and rebounding, that ceiling is very low consistently. And so it's like, I think Missouri is one of those classic, they could make 15 threes in 3 straight games and beat everybody in sight, or they go 3 of 28 and get bounced by, an 11 seed or something round 1. So it's just, I think that's kind of where they are. I just, we always say the bracket's important in the matchups, but like for Missouri, I think that's especially the case because, again, if they're not making shots from outside and not finding consistent offense and they're going to force turnovers. Now, I think that's something to keep in mind with Missouri, right? Like they're going to force turnovers, but you just don't want those teams that I think have a ton of size that are very good on the offensive glass, and those are just the kind of teams I think Missouri has to stay away from because we've just seen it too many times, right? Rebounding wise, especially. So
they're one of the 5 worst defensive rebounding teams in the country. Some nights it just doesn't matter. They hit that many shots and get that many extra possessions with steals, but
yeah.
But
from what I hear, Missouri is coached by a man named Dennis Gates, and I don't know if you guys know this, but I think he's pretty good at what he does. So anyways, Chris, we won't go too far into that. You got plenty of videos in the archives if you want to go watch all my thoughts on Dennis Gates. Justin with a $2 super chat. By the way, you can leave a super chat. Hit that little, what is it, Justin, a heart button or something like that now. I don't know what it is down there. You can leave us a super chat. All that does is gives us some money to help support the channel so we can do more videos. That's what it is. So boo Oreo and give us $2. That's what Justin does. So we appreciate you as always, Justin. Also, Justin, a member of our
scratching at my door.
Well, that's fine. You got $2. That'll pay for a new door. So if Justin keeps them coming, you'll have enough money for the new door. So yeah, we appreciate it. Justin, if you can see there, Justin's got the little thing beside his name. That's because he is part of the It Just Means More tier here on the channel. So it's a subscription tier. All it is basically a donation tier, folks. If you want to just give us, I don't know how much does it cost, Justin? That's not good that I don't remember how much we set that out. I think it's like $3.99 a month. So basically just supporting the channel so we can make more videos. So there you go. If you want to do that, you can. Chris, I know you're not going to believe this, but we got a couple of pro wrestling questions here. And I know you're excited about these. So thrilled from what I can tell. So we got a couple of them because Michael's going to talk about the threads here, the All Elite Wrestling sweatshirt. Just for reference, Michael, like I'm more of an old school fan, okay? But this is all I had. Like this is just the only gear that I have that is up to date in the world of wrestling. So more of an old school fan. Give me back to like the late 80s, you know, late 90s. That's my jam, but it's fine. So your $2 can also go towards more threads as well. We appreciate that, Michael. And Justin asked, by the way, it's better TV. Well, listen, these days it's SEC sports. Back in the day, you know, may have been pro wrestling, but these days it's the SEC. So
You've allegedly done a wrestling podcast.
I've done all kinds of stuff. You guys just
You have. It is
I
amazing
mean,
the podcast you have done.
like the Benjamin Franklin of podcasts. Like, wasn't Benjamin Franklin? Wasn't he like someone that just did all these things? Was that who I'm thinking, or was it Da Vinci? Who was it? One of these
No,
guys.
it's. I mean, both. I mean, you
Both.
could.
Okay. Is that who I am? I don't know.
Very,
You guys
very
tell
modest take on your part.
me. You guys tell me. Boy, we got a lot of chats coming in.
That-
Shout out to Michael. The Arkansas fans. Let's call it what it is. Okay. If you're new to the channel, this channel was basically built on the backs of Arkansas fans. Like they pushed us into a stratosphere that we were not in long ago. And so we always appreciate the Arkansas fans coming in. So we really do. So all right. All right, Chris. I'll let you take the floor for a second, and then I'll mark some of these others.
Yes, I mean, because that's pitching these days, right? And what Justin's referring to is you've already seen Jax Wiggins, who was going to be probably Arkansas's Friday night guy. He's done for the year with Tommy John. And Grant Taylor, who was LSU's 3, but he had been, from what I understand, phenomenal, done for the year, I believe. I heard that. If I heard that correctly, I think Grant Taylor's done for the year. But I mean, look, you last year, let's see, who do we see go down? Well, I mean, we see guys every year. LSU, their ace 2 years ago went down. Going blank on the name. I think a second round pick. You saw Connor Prelip barely pitch when he was at Alabama. Sam Leboke, he will be back, I think, in Vandy's rotation this year. Missed last year with Tommy John. I mean, list goes on and on. It's going to happen. Tennessee had some guys go down last year. You saw Blake Tidwell miss most of the year. He came back. Yeah, I mean, I hope we get to a day when you don't see so many pitching injuries, but when everybody throws 95, that's probably going to be the nature of how it goes.
All right. Michael wants to know. By the way, thanks, Justin. $5 super chat. We appreciate it. Justin also referencing Glow. It's $3.99. All right, is what it just means more tier is. So if you want to subscribe to it, you give us $4 a month. That just helps us make more videos. Michael wants to know Missouri's ceiling in the tournament. So we sort of discussed that a second ago, Chris, but we didn't really maybe go all the way with that. Like they can be a second weekend NCAA tournament team if they shoot the lights out in the first couple of games.
I could see them making the Elite Eight just on a hot shooting streak. You've seen Missouri put it together 3 games in a row shooting.
Something Missouri has done is they've not fared in the games they've lost to the top teams, right? Some of them have been ugly. And I think that's what worries you a little bit.
Yeah. Like
the
Auburn game.
Yeah, like those kind of games worry you a little bit. But still, remember, knock on wood, Missouri fans, I'll do it for you right now. Like, they still have a clean sheet. Quad 2, 3, 4. So they got that going for them. So I think that's something to keep in mind when you get to the tournament. So speaking of which, Isaiah Mosley, we talked about this. I'll be honest with you guys, I have no idea. Like I couldn't tell you.
I don't think it's a personal situation, which I mean, it's kind of obvious by this point, but
I have no idea. I don't think it's. I wouldn't read much more into it than what's being said. I don't think it's a player coach thing.
I wouldn't.
No,
it's not that from what I understand. I don't want people to judge the kid. I mean, stuff. It's 2023 and things happen.
Yep. By the way, if you're just checking in, as I said earlier, we are on the back end here. We're marking all of your questions, so we'll get to them. We've got kind of a deep list of questions here to run through, so we will we will get to them, I promise, but we're just going to run through them as we see them. Surprisingly quality NIT. That's not a bad that's not a bad point. It could be a quality NIT. NIT games can
Is
usually
is it a deep bubble pool? I'm not sure that it
uh,
is.
I don't know. I mean, if we take it right now, all right, let's look at the actual bubble at the moment. And of course, my computer doesn't want to work as I'm trying to pull this up. So,
By the way, am I the only one rooting for Carolina and Kentucky and Dayton?
No, are you a TV executive? Because they are too. So,
can you imagine?
Who was it? I think it was Sam. Sam might be in the chat here. I think Sam brought that up on Twitter last night. I mean, look, if you look at it, let's say if you go just by Lenardi, and don't, folks, we're not getting into a Lenardi thing. I get it. He's not always the most accurate, but this is what most people relate to when they hear the word bracketology. So this is what I'm using for now. First four out right now would be, when did he update this? He updated this earlier in the week. So Kentucky would be in at this point, but just use this as a reference. Oregon, Kentucky, USC, Wisconsin, Charleston, Arizona State, Seton Hall, Utah. Yeah, that's not a deep bubble. Some of those teams are average teams, I guess, at best. But so I don't know how deep it would be, Justin. We'll see. Shout out to Rob. We appreciate the kind words, Rob. Yeah, we love doing this and glad you guys are joining us for it. So here's a good question from Sam. I like this one. And Chris, this, Sam may have been reading your text message to me earlier. So Ole Miss, Chris Beard. You're muted. I think the Oreo mute is on.
The Oreo mute was on. Yeah, I mean, my good friend Neil McCready, who is friend of the show and probably the best guy on the Ole Miss beat, wrote something about Chris Beard and Ole Miss tonight at Rebel Grove. I don't know if it's behind a paywall or not, but I read it. Neil is not going to write that without knowing something. I know him well enough. And if you didn't catch it today, Chris Beard is not going to have charges pressed against him, partially or maybe mostly because his fiance or girlfriend, I think it's his fiance, is not going to testify. So there you go.
Well, you guys are on the live stream here, so you can hear my thoughts on this. I would be really surprised if Chris Beard's the next coach at Ole Miss. Just my opinion. But
yeah, I was going to say, is the SEC going to allow that to happen this soon? I mean, you had Hugh Freeze was more or less kept out of the league for, what was it, 5-6 years? I don't know. Be interesting to know what Greg Sankey thinks if he gets a call from Keith Carter.
Yeah, I think it's more about the job too. I don't know. They'll pay, and that always speaks, but I don't see it. We'll see though. Again, you never know. I'm giving you my thoughts as it stands on February 16th, so that could change. But I think right now, if they make a move, which I don't want to throw my guy Kerman under the bus, but obviously they're struggling and such. So we'll see. But all right, let's keep rolling here. Jerry Lewis telethon. Is that what we're doing here? All right, guys, call. Well, give me the number. Like,
we're not above that.
No, we're not. It's sad, but Justin with a great trivia fact here. Okay, so Justin's saying that Tony Schiavone was his neighbor growing up. Justin, I need to know if you're being truthful here, like 100% truth. Don't be pulling my leg here, man. Like, if this is true, I need to know. All right. Did you know Tony Schiavone was doing the Georgia? He was the production guy for Georgia for the longest time, and then he went back. Get back into wrestling here with the people on my shirt, and he's no longer doing it. I used to see Tony Schiavone at the SEC tournament every year. He'd be sitting right in front of me doing the Georgia radio network for that stuff. So, yeah. Chris didn't know that. Chris didn't know he was sitting beside a wrestling legend at the SEC tournament. He thought he was the biggest legend in the house. That wasn't true. It was Tony
I thought it was pretty cool when I sat next to Wimp Sanderson and talked to him for 30 minutes one year on press row. That was fun.
Listen, I love Wimp, but give me Wimp and Tony Schiavone in a steel cage, and let's see what happens. All right. Well, I'd actually probably take Wimp in that one. I'm sorry, Tony. But anyways, to the people who have no idea who we're talking about, we'll continue. Good to know, Gary. You found it. Yeah. We got to get South Carolina better for Gary, because Gary is a longtime supporter. Gary was one of the first people that
Gary's
supported
one of
my
our
work.
diehards.
Yeah, now he's come along here to Southeastern 14, and we appreciate him. So, all right, Mr. Hillcrest here, more likely to miss the tournament. This is a great question, and we will probably address this in bracketology tomorrow, but we're going to give you a quick answer now. It is so crazy that I'm going to say this, but it's Texas A&M. I don't know how, but that's who it's going to. That would be the one, I think, because remember, A&M, as we said, is some people are still considering them a bubble team, and we have to remember, guys, look at their remaining schedule: at Missouri, home against Tennessee, at Mississippi State, at Ole Miss, home against Alabama. That's a tough schedule to end this thing. So if they start losing games, didn't we say this earlier, Chris, in one of our videos? If they start losing, then you give the committee a little ammunition to really go back to those 2 games in November, December, whatever it was, and then say, well, you had didn't finish strong. So, yeah, I'd be a little worried if I'm A&M. And I don't think they should be. They're 11-2 in the conference, but they got a tough schedule to finish things off.
So. A&M could win the conference or miss the tournament. That's how.
There you go.
That's how wild A&M season has been.
Yeah.
And if you didn't hear our show this morning where we talked about an hour on the games last night, we all think A&M's good. And when we get into bracketology, we'll get into it a little bit more. But it's going to be that resume versus team thing. If it's close with them, it's going to be very interesting to see where the committee leans. Now, let me ask you this. I wonder if A&M gets a little bit of the benefit of the doubt if it's right there. Because do you want A&M howling at you 2 years in a row? I mean, I'm not saying that's going to come up in discussion, but think about it for a minute. A&M got screwed last year. There is 0% doubt in my mind that A&M should have been in the tournament and was not. So if it's close this year and you're the committee, do you want to do that again?
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Arkansas 21 in the net. I assume you're asking this in the, I don't know, like maybe not as an Arkansas fan. I can't, Chris. I can't explain the net. I don't even want to try. I can't tell you why people are where they are in the net. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I don't think Arkansas is the one that I would shake my head at the most, honestly. There are some others that I'm curious about, or maybe more so than Arkansas. But I mean, I can't even, unless Chris has a great answer. I don't. So I can't explain the net.
The net tracks with Ken Palm and some of the other predictive computers pretty closely, does it not?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, I'm gonna go side by side here just to test this out.
Yeah. While you're doing that, yes, Justin.
Well, I'll tell you what. Pull up the net. Pull up the net. I got you to read me. Okay. Top 5 in Ken Palm this morning: Houston, Alabama, UCLA, Tennessee, Connecticut.
Okay, hold on. Houston, Alabama, Tennessee, Purdue, UCLA, St. Mary's, Kansas, UConn.
Okay, St. Mary's is at 7, Purdue at 6, Kansas at 8, followed by Texas and Baylor at 9, 10.
There you go.
Where are Texas and Baylor in that?
There you go. So
okay, I'm just go every 5. Iowa State's 15. Where's Iowa State in the net?
I have no idea. I've already closed 15.
Okay. Well, here's my point. The net does have a lot of elements of margin of victory in it, which Ken Palm does too. Ken Palm is designed to be predictive. In other words, if you win a game or lose a game by 1, there's very little difference in Ken Palm. And so I think that's your answer. I think Arkansas, in fact, I'm going to check this. Arkansas's losses: 3 to Creighton, 3 to LSU, 13 at Auburn on the road. That's redundant. Sorry. 15 to Alabama, 13 to Vanderbilt on the road, 3 to Missouri on the road, 3 to Baylor on the road, 6 to Mississippi State on the road, 6 to A&M on the road. Point being that Arkansas, when it is losing, is not losing its games by a lot. They're against good teams, and so computers are going to see that as it's a good team. I think that's your explanation.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more in the bracketology video tomorrow. Backyard wrestling videos, Justin. You're right. I probably got one somewhere. I mean, I was putting people through cardboard tables and all kinds of stuff. So appreciate the $5 super chat though, as always. Okay. I mean, probably. Let's be honest. Like that's why we're trying to hustle to get Southeastern 14 where it needs to be, because eventually, when Dennis comes calling, I'm going to have to say yes. So keep the super chats coming, please, so we can continue to do this. But it's an interesting question. I know it's outside the SEC, but Florida Atlantic is going to lose to MTSU tonight. Chris, I know we saw that, but Florida Atlantic was like a 9 seed, I think, in most people, or around that range in a lot of brackets. So losing that one now, they're going to. But remember this too: they are 17 in the net. That's going to drop them to 22-3 overall. They were 2-1, 3-1, quad 1-2, 9-0 3, 8-0 4, which MTSU would be a. This is important actually. For
124 in Ken Palm.
They're 16-11, so they're not. Yeah, so that's going to be a bad loss technically. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think they.
So it'll be what, a quad 2 or 3. Won't be a quad 4.
Yeah, but as he brings up, it is true that can help SEC teams. So. All right. Real quick question on the on Sam Horn here. As I said, baseball season starts tomorrow. So, what do you think, Chris?
Yeah, we tried to get Steve Beezer on our podcast with no luck. I would have liked to have asked him that. The way I've heard it is that Horn is on Horn is on football scholarship, and I think he'd like to be the quarterback. And I think what's going to happen is whatever spring practice involvement entails that conflicts with football is going to tilt football's away. So my guess is if Horn pitches from Missouri this year, it's going to be after spring football's over. And what kind of conditioning can you get your arm in between now and then? I don't know.
All right. Michael, highest point average in the SEC, Bam at 78. I mean, is Missouri, what's that now? I have to look that up. Anytime you type in like scoring offense, you always know you're never going to get basketball first, right? So, Alabama, yeah, I guess Alabama's overall, Alabama's at 82.5 from what I'm seeing. Missouri's not far behind that, 81.1. So, SEC we've said this year, defense has really reigned supreme in the SEC this season. A lot of elite defensive teams, not a lot of elite offensive teams. So I think you can blame the elite defenses for the fact that there's not a lot of consistent offenses, perhaps, or they just can't shoot. That's my motto, and people don't really agree with that sometimes. But SEC just doesn't have a lot of great outside shooters. So still 30.
Who's the best outside shooter in the league this year? I was thinking of this the other day.
I mean, it's probably like Brandon Miller, isn't it? I mean, I know that sounds
maybe.
I mean, it shouldn't sound
Miles
silly,
Studi.
Well, I can tell you right now. I can look up the stats and tell you exactly who it is. 3-point field goal percentage. Yes, it's Brandon Miller, 42.5. Demoy Hodge is second. Vescovi's third. Miller shooting 42.5%.
I would not have guessed that. It feels like Miller's been. Oh, I'm thinking of Adam Miller.
Yeah, Brandon Miller, the best player in the conference. Yeah,
that guy. I've heard of him.
He's pretty good.
That's my second big brain fart today.
Whatever. Justin wants the DA to charge Chris Beard with tampering with Dylan DeSue. So he sends $2 just to tell us that. So, hey, put that money towards that, Justin, instead. So maybe do that. But all right, back to the most important discussion of this thing so far. Tony. Okay, so you hung out with these kids. Okay. Tony's got a lot of kids, I think, doesn't he?
We've
Yeah.
got you way
So
off track tonight.
no, man, this is listen. Maybe that's what we should do. When we start, we're going to start introducing some subscription tiers. One paid tier will just include me and Justin and Blaine talking wrestling on a weekly basis. You don't you can pay for that, folks. Like you can't get that free, but
The Southeastern 14 Wrestling Podcast. We should.
I guarantee you we get Tony Schiavone on too. I'm gonna call my shot right now. We could absolutely get Tony Schiavone on there. So, there you go. Anyways, so, Michael asked about flopping in the SEC. A&M fell 58 times. Oh boy. Well, I don't. I'm not saying this is an A&M thing, but like, you get creative sometimes in the SEC these days.
It's a very specific number, Michael.
Well, I mean, I'd have to go back and watch the tape, Michael. I have to go back and watch the tape. So, he also points out this is the running joke too. Like Tennessee could lose 5 in a row and stay at number 2 in the net. They're actually number 3 now, folks. And what's funny is, right, they stayed at number 3, and they didn't jump Alabama, who was at number 2, who they just beat last night. So, like, it's just it makes no sense. But I don't get it. So, I don't get it, Michael. All right, Justin back with $5 more here. How is Vanderbilt so low in the computers? Only 1 bad loss and 6 non-con opponents.
It's the margin of victory thing. I'm telling you.
Yeah. It is.
Lose by 57 to Alabama. That leaves a mark. The Grambling loss hurt. Let's see, they lost at home by 12 against Southern Miss, which that's not awful, but it's at home. I mean, that's what it is. And really, the other part of that is it's been failure to really blow teams out. I mean, like, what's Vandy's most lopsided SEC win this year? Was it 11 at South Carolina, or I guess 13 against Arkansas?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably what it is, right? So.
Beat Alabama A&M by 8 points. Beat South Carolina by 4 at home. There's a lot of bad teams that Vandy beat, but didn't beat by much.
Yeah,
I think that's the issue.
That's it. That's what matters. So, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of there you go. This is good numbers here. So, yeah, it's just got a lot to do with it. So, like we said, that Vandy, they got to win out. Like their net's just still 90 or something, and they got to win out. Like
that blue-tailed lizard is nailed it better than I did.
Yeah. It's unlikely, but there is a path. But it's unlikely, I think. So,
No, and I'll tell you why. It's just because he hasn't been on the court enough. I was thinking about this today. I think if I had to name a defensive player of the year, because I think it might have been Castleton, but he's not going to win it now because he's going to miss so much time. I think it's the guy Ziegler.
That's who I picked in the midseason rank our awards. Yeah, I think he's it.
So. We had a good debate about that, but I think that's who it's going to wind up being. It's going to be, him or Vescovy. Take your pick.
I'd go Ziegler. I think he's the pick for me. Yeah, I'd go him. I think he's there. So,
besides Vanderbilt's defense, statistically is dreadful. Which I know that's not Robin's fault, but you can't really. They're 171 in KenPom right now. You can't put a defensive player of the year from that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. All right. Well, we've caught up on questions. We finally got there, folks. So 40 minutes into this thing, we caught up on your questions. So if you have more comments, questions, send them on in. And as always, be sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Hit the like button. That helps us out a lot. And as we mentioned earlier, you can leave the super chats. Do what Justin's doing. Go down there, hit that little heart button, and you can leave a nice super chat. That, again, just donates to the channel. Helps Chris and I make more videos for you guys, which, as you've seen, if you're subscribed, we are all over the place doing stuff right now. We got multiple basketball videos usually every day. We got football stuff kind of ramping back up next week. We got more of that coming. Baseball obviously starts this weekend. You've seen we're doing women's basketball. We're doing all kinds of stuff now. So your support is always appreciated to help us do as much as we can. So,
you want to hit baseball for a minute?
I will let you hit baseball for a minute. I'm going to promote some stuff here for us on social media, and yes, we can hit baseball for a few.
Well, I will take the floor for a minute. Opening day in college baseball tomorrow, and the SEC. It is not exactly a murderer's row scheduling wise, except you got Vandy, Missouri, and Arkansas all playing out in Arlington against Oklahoma State, Texas, and TCU. I'll be interested to watch that, particularly the Arkansas Vandy of things. Tennessee, probably the next biggest story on scheduling after that. Tennessee is going to play Arizona, Grand Canyon, and San Diego. Arizona, of course, a traditional power. I don't think they're supposed to be quite the level that they've been lately. And you got Grand Canyon, who's got Jacob Wilson, who's maybe a top half of the first round shortstop. That'll be interesting to watch. He's a kid who never strikes out. And San Diego, who's got a kid named Kevin Sim, who's, I think, the preseason WCC Player of the Year and a pro prospect. So that's your stuff of interest to follow in SEC baseball week 1. Everybody else, I can't see a series here that really excites me unless Indiana's supposed to be good this year. That's who Auburn opens with, to be honest. I don't know. Now, next weekend, it gets a lot more interesting. You got some really good series next weekend. You've got, let's see, Kentucky, Wright State. Wright State's usually pretty competitive. You've got Vanderbilt's got UCLA next weekend. That's in Nashville. I'll be going to see that one. We've got next weekend, Auburn's going to Southern Cal. I don't think Southern Cal is a tournament team, but that's traditional baseball power. Road trip to Pac-12 school, interesting. LSU's playing, and I can't remember what classic, Kansas State, Iowa, Sam Houston State. Mississippi State's got an interesting series with Arizona State next week. Arizona State. Ole Miss has got one with Maryland, which is a preseason top 15 by some. So next weekend is the one you really want to circle for baseball series. This one, outside of Vandy, Missouri, Arkansas, and Tennessee, frankly, not as much to watch as I would like.
Yeah, it's always interesting first weekend because I think what I always find fascinating is what the pitching rotations look like.
Yeah.
Because you kind of know maybe who the guy is going to be on some of these teams. We definitely know that for sure. But we've talked about a lot of teams where it's like who's going to be number 2, who's going to be number 3, and how does that shake out? And you may not know on opening weekend, of course, but you at least see where they're at that point. And I think that's one of the most interesting things I like to look at. So
I'm checking my inbox to see if I've got anything from Ben Beatty. He usually sends out the pitching matchups, and I'm not seeing it. Go to the website. I'm interested in that too. I can tell you Vanderbilt announced its today. Got the press release on that one, and it's going to go with Carter Holton tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon against TCU. And then it'll throw Hunter Owen on Saturday against who they play, Oklahoma State. So that's all I've got for now.
Yep.
I'm a little surprised that the pitching matchups have not been sent out yet.
Well, we'll see. We will see what happens. But again, you can follow all the stuff here on the channel. So hit subscribe and do that. And we'll probably hop off in about 10 minutes, guys. So if you have anything else you want to get to, let us know, and we will hop off here shortly. Good discussion tonight. A lot of great questions. And again, I know we probably should have found a way to do more of these, but we will be doing a lot more of these now that we are basically, weeks away from tournament play. And so you will get these a lot more, a lot. Let's just say that. You will have a lot more of these in the works. So we do appreciate your love of SEC basketball, baseball, football, and all. It's just, it's great. So, and pro wrestling.
Did you see Sam Smith's comment?
Well, Sam wants to know if Tennessee's going to get the good Kentucky and Pat Adams.
That's good.
That combination is what he's looking for. So I don't know, Sam. We'll see. So yeah, I mean that's Tennessee got the good Kentucky last time. We saw how that turned out. So yeah, that's a fact. I mean, look, full disclosure, we've already recorded our predictions for the weekend, and as you'll hear, our confidence level and our pick for that game was not high, but
No.
Not high. So I don't really know what to expect from that one because the last one was just so right. It's just so I think weird's a good word. Like it's just we Kentucky's coming off a loss to South Carolina and a blowout loss to Alabama before that. And then Tennessee just felt like they were miles ahead of Kentucky. But yet Kentucky came out, found a way. Tennessee, you remember, Sam, Tennessee missed about 48 layups, felt like in that game. Like just open, close range shots they couldn't hit. They defended pretty well, but yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully you don't get that for your sake. So quickly, Chris, Rob wants to know, I know Missouri's basically picked, at the bottom, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
So I don't.
That's a good question. Again, we tried to get Steve Beezer on the show. Sent an email to Missouri, didn't get it returned. That would have been helpful, but it didn't happen. I'm looking at the roster. They got a lot of transfers from some Power 5 schools. Kids looking for better opportunity. They got Trey Morris is back. Ross Lovich, a kid that's played for them. I mean, I'm seeing some names: Wilsmeyer, Luke Mann. So they've got some experience. Ben Peterson's back. I think they felt he's had province at times. Trevor Austin's back. You talked about Horn. Ian Lose, Trosser have all pitched for them. Carlos Pena was a guy that when they got him a year ago, he was one of the higher rated recruits they'd had in a while. So what I like is I'm seeing a lot of names of kids that I've seen there before. And sometimes that's when it clicks. It's just kids getting experience. But it's always going to be a tough road to hoe in the SEC and in the East. And frankly, when Missouri's been close, I don't think the committee has given them the benefit of the doubt where it should, which has been disheartening to watch.
All right, Justin. Predict the next 5 games for Vandy. I was going to say 3-2. Oh boy, on the spot. Should I be a coward here, Justin, or should I tell you what I really think? Which one? Okay, so let's do this, Chris. We're gonna do it one at a time. I'm gonna say the opponent. You tell me win or not win. Actually, how about this? We cannot spoil our pick for Saturday's game because that video is not up yet. I'm sorry, Justin. We cannot spoil our pick for the Vanderbilt Auburn game, but we will give you the probability says that Auburn is the favorite in that one. So, because of what the probability says, we're going to put Auburn as the winner. All right. At LSU, that's a win, right? Right, Chris?
Yeah.
They're winning at LSU. All right. 1-1. Home against Florida. I think that's a win. 2-1.
Without Castleton, yeah.
At Kentucky.
I think that's a sleeper pick for an upset, but it's senior day.
Remember when Kentucky didn't have any seniors? Like that was a theme for a while.
Has that only happened once?
I feel like for the longest while that was kind of a theme. They either have one guy that didn't play or something that was a senior, and
I mean, I presume it'll be senior night for Sheway, right? I mean, are they going to do that or?
I feel like it used to be senior day for their freshmen. That's the way they used to do it, like,
right?
You knew they weren't coming back, so you might as well just go and honor them. All right, so we'll say 2-2, and then so that would come down to the Mississippi State game at home. I think they can beat
give them that
State.
one.
Yeah. So 3-2 sounds right, but they can't afford the 2 at this point. So that's it, Justin. Appreciate the $2. Send it to the coward here. By the way, I'm going to note this because I know some people have asked this before. Like, if you watch our videos sometimes, if we record these late at night or we have a stream that goes late at night, I have what is the thing they put on your computer now where it like dims the blue light after a certain time. So like it's almost like I feel like I'm like recording on the side of the sun because as the minutes go on, like the screen gets more orange. And so it like reflects off of there. So no, I'm okay, everyone. Like you don't have to It's just the screen doing their thing. So
somebody wants predictions on the college baseball showdown.
oh yeah, I saw that one. Here it is.
Let's go.
Let me see here.
Let's be optimistic. Let's go Vandy and Arkansas each go 2-1. Boy, Missouri, that's going to be tough to get one.
Yeah. Start Oklahoma State.
I want to
Texas
see it, but
yeah.
I don't know that I can go there.
Yeah. I don't want to say you'd be thrilled at 1 and 2, but
I think you'd be pretty happy.
One of those wins would be very valuable, perhaps moving forward. Just
hey, if the league can go 5-4 in this, that would be, I think, a win. Because no offense to Missouri, this is kind of the which one of these is not like the others.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Like I said, listen, if they get one, that gives you something, right, to lean on. So,
yeah. I mean, because all those teams, TCU, I think, is preseason 15-ish. Oklahoma State's top 10. Texas, I saw D1's regional predictions. Texas is going to be a little down because it lost all those players from a year ago. And its ace is done for the year, but it's still, I think D1 had it as a 2. So if the league can go 5-4 in this, I'll be pleased.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. All right, guys, this is going to be like your 2 to 5 minute warning. For any other comments, any other questions, he said, we'll start doing these more frequently here moving forward. How much of a super chat to let Goldberg spear me? Justin, if you give us a $100 super chat and you can get in touch with Bill Goldberg, which Tony Schiavone probably can, if you want to go that route. You got friends now. You got the Schiavone connection. If you want to go that route, you give us a $100 super chat and Goldberg wants to line it up to spear me, I will take that. All right. I'll take the spear for $100. That's how dedicated I am to Southeastern 14 until I take a job on Dennis Gates' staff. So there you go.
Sam, I don't think you're wrong. That said, I think some of the prime suspects for starting a brawl off last year's team are now gone. I would most likely to start a brawl would have been Gilbert. I think he's a pro now. Trey Lipscomb almost got into it with Notre Dame. He's gone. Jordan Beck will no longer be around to give teams the middle finger rounding the bases. So he's gone. So I think this is a tamer bunch of Vols maybe. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to pick a team, it's there are almost never bench clearing brawls in college baseball. That's one thing that's very different from the professional level. Although there was one, was it a JUCO team that got into a big brawl last year? Do you remember seeing this?
I could not tell you.
I think there was a JUCO brawl last year that was pretty significant. There might have even been an arrest or two in that. I could be dreaming it.
I don't know. Nothing surprises me anymore. So it certainly could have happened. By the way, so just for everyone, like Sam's a Tennessee fan, so like he's embracing this. By the way, so all right, we're about to wrap up.
That team's got personality, that's for sure.
Hey, it's the wrestling. They're the heels. So and they embrace it.
They did have. I thought that the celebrations got a little much last year, but some of that stuff was pretty funny. I mean the fur coat and the daddy hats and some of those kind of things. They brought some life to the game.
All right. Well, just will the Goldberg spear be done via live stream? Yes, we will do it on location. Speaking of on location, we may have some on location stuff coming soon. So I don't want to get anybody too excited, but if you're coming to Nashville for the SEC tournament, keep that in mind. Keep that in your scheduling plans, perhaps. to come watch a live show. We'll see. Justin would have paid $500 for the Goldberg spear. Well, I appreciate that. Spear me as many, I guess, give me 10 spears for $500 each. So, all right, Chris, wrap it up. We got to keep this under an hour or nobody watches the replay. Shout out to Chris. We appreciate the love for the show. We really do. So, all right, Chris, wrap it up.
Big weekend for the SEC. This will be the most fun weekend of the year to be an SEC sports fan so far, I think, other than football stuff. Because you've got a fantastic slate. Maybe not fantastic. That might be a little much. I don't know that it's going to match the midweek slate, but I think Auburn Vandy is interesting. I think Tennessee Kentucky is super interesting. I think A&M Missouri is super interesting. I think Arkansas will be interesting just because I want to see what happens with Nick Smith. Mississippi State Ole Miss shouldn't be interesting, but it's an in-state rivalry, so who knows? State's got to have that one. And then, with apologies to Gary, South Carolina LSU, just don't find compelling. And then baseball, of course, I want to see what happens out in Arlington, particularly with Arkansas. I want to see how Arkansas pitches this weekend. Because Jax Wiggins going down. I think Arkansas's got a pretty good staff, and I'm guessing Will McIntyre is going to bump into that 3 spot, which he was really good at the end of last year. Want to see if Vandy can hit a little bit this weekend. That's kind of the question with them. Can Missouri get a game somewhere? How does Tennessee do out west? Again, those are not pushover opponents the Vols have. I think Tennessee will come out of that with more wins than losses, but interested to see how Tennessee reloads in the lineup. The pitching is going to be there. Anyway, I think it's going to be a great weekend. I'm going to have my hands full trying to keep up with it all. And so with that, Blake, what have I missed here?
Well, don't forget the XFL returns this weekend. You get to watch that as well. If you want your football fix, I think the Roughnecks play somebody else. So keep that in mind. That'll be on your screen. I'm going to wrap this up very quickly, but before we do that, because we got to keep this under an hour, guys. If you're asking why we have to keep this under an hour, because we've noticed if this thing goes over an hour, nobody watched the replay. So we need people to watch the replay. So quickly, our friends at BROTHROW, if you want to bet on some games this weekend, you want to bet against other people, you don't want to bet against the house, you want to bet against me or Chris, which you can if we put our bets in there. You can do that with our friends at BROTHROW. All you do, click on that link in the description below. And as you can see here, you can go pick a game. You can see that, look, Jason C here has a $100 bet on Arizona -12. If you want to take that bet, you're betting against Jason C. You're not betting against the house. That's all you do. So it's a very fun deal. We appreciate BROTHROW. We always put some bets in there for some of the SEC games. So bet against us, take our money, whatever you want to do. That's what we do here at BROTHROW. So we appreciate them. And Chris, that's all I got.
We've got, I think, bracketology coming up in the morning.
Yep. Bracketology and predictions both up on Friday.
Coming up in the morning, but they're done. They just haven't been released. We may try to do something live this weekend. It just depends on schedules. I'd love to do some baseball stuff, and we got a lot of basketball things. It's just going to depend on schedules. These are 7-day work weeks these days, and they're not going away anytime soon.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Go watch the St. Louis Battlehawks.
We really have the XFL and the USFL at once?
All I know is the XFL's back, baby. That's all I care about.
I'll be following the CFL this summer.
BROTHROW, XFL. I have no idea. Don't quote me on that. All right. We're done.
All right. He is Blake Lovell. I'm Chris Lee. Thanks for watching. God bless you all. We're Southeastern 14. We'll see you soon.